Hi, today I want to look at the gangstalking, targeting individual stuff around communication and, interception, interference with communication, which I've experienced since 1996. I mean, it may have been going on way before then, but it was brought to my attention in 1996. So it covers quite a few areas, so I'll try to deal with each area. So first area I'm looking at is computers and tablets. You might find that you get viruses, and of course viruses are part of life. And we can put in antiviruses and we can put in firewalls, protections, but sometimes I find that the viruses can go through there. I know once when I wrote something that was maybe quite a bit too exposing, I received worms into the computer, and every time I had it repaired, which was like the next day I'd have it repaired, straight away another worm would go through. And what I was learning was it wasn't really my firewall, it wasn't really that my antivirus wasn't good enough, it was going via Microsoft. And yes, what I've learned is that there's some people, or maybe hackers, that can use it like there's a back door into websites. So sometimes the interference that one receives is not just viruses, but like when I try to put out information on the internet, I will get interference. Say like in Blogspot, I might try to upload photographs and so forth, and then as I try to rearrange them on the page, there seems that there's someone else at the other side of Blogspot that's rearranging them for me and preventing me from doing what I want to do. And it's not just Blogspot. I mean, I've shown on videos before how this is done in other websites where I've tried to make my own website in webs.com, and I'm not really saying that webs.com are rubbish or anything like that. I'm saying that it seems that hackers or whoever are able to go in through the back door of these services and prevent you from, or prevent me and others from doing what they want to do on them sites. I do understand that this is also done by dirty police, or the dirty police will get people that are good at this sort of hacking to work for them, for their dirty agenda. I'm not condemning the police, but within each organisation there's infiltration of people that are part of a bad agenda, and so that's how it's used. Yes, it's frustrating to try and decide as well who's doing this, but you learn that to do that, that's not about someone hacking, that's not some little noddy hacking at your site, although they do tend to need your like signing in to a site. They need to know your passwords, because when that time I was being attacked severely, that every time I had the computer fixed I'd get a worm straight away. At that time I used internet cafes and went in them, and what I found was if I signed into a site that was known like Facebook or YouTube or so forth, straight away I would get interference. So it's someone, I mean this is in a cafe, so it's someone who somehow knows my sites that I sign into, and as soon as I sign in they've been alerted to. So again, this is not no little noddy hacker. But at the same time, you know, one could suspect, oh well then this is high up, this is CIA, this is Black Ops. But what I'm informed is that CIA, Black Ops, they wouldn't mess around like that. They wouldn't play games like that. And it's mind games. They wouldn't do it because if you was just a problem, they would just close you down. They wouldn't mess about with, you know, catching hold of you. That is someone trying to indicate that I think that they're sort of coming from a Black Ops level, and they might be working for the Black Ops at some level, because it'll be cult and Masonic involved, to have that freedom to do those things that are illegal. But it's just about discerning where this problem is coming from. I did actually work it against them because that's my door, but I'm not answering it because I'm doing this video. I did use to work against them in that what I did was utilise that situation. So I'd go to the internet cafe and sign into individual accounts that I belong to and see at that point whether I would still be able to upload a little video that I made. And if they had that website, that account, then as soon as I signed in, I wouldn't be able to get the upload done. Where I did find that on Vimeo they couldn't actually get to know when I was on Vimeo by that means, so I was able to upload a video in Vimeo. So what I do is make a video, try and upload it to Vimeo, sign into say YouTube. If I signed into YouTube and then found I couldn't upload to Vimeo, I knew that they had my YouTube account. So I did it with each of my accounts. And yes, I mean, Snowden says that they didn't have WordPress. They do have WordPress, because when I went into that account there was messing around. But when I went into Vimeo, that was the only account that really I found that they didn't have. They had Yahoo. So yes, when it comes to your emails, you may or may not receive them. They mess with them. Sometimes you don't get the messages, sometimes you do get the messages, and it's a frustration. But I mean, all you can do is really use what you've got, you know, go through the process and be mindful that is the case, and stay calm, always stay calm. So yes, I don't know that, but I'm just trying to show that yes, if you're going through the same thing, yes, this is sort of normal for the interference. I mean, what you can do, I mean, sometimes in Gangstalking videos and that, they say, oh, document everything. And I find, yes, you could, but then you could spend all day documenting everything, and then that sort of becomes a bit obsessive. And the way I found around it, which is using the net for our advantage, is to make blogs. To make blogs of things that are going on. Like I have a blog that I self-diagnosed as cerebral palsy. I don't know if I have cerebral palsy, but I have a lot of medical problems that are all the signs of cerebral palsy. So what I've done is made a blog and then approached medical health services demanding that I have help with the health problems. Like I've just broken both of my wrists, although they're recovering now. And I keep a record of that blog, and it doesn't really matter whether anyone reads it or not, because then I'm able to find them files, because you can keep all the paperwork in your house of all the documents, but to be honest, they can come in and take whatever documents they want, which is what they do in my experience with my paperwork. So a blog, I mean, yes, they could remove it from your blogs, but I haven't experienced that, although we are all treated different. So it's good to blog what's going on rather than just keep it in a paper file. So that's when the computer can be useful, and of course it can be useful for other things too. But it's about, you know, staying calm with it. Make backups of your, say, Windows before you use the computer. Just get a USB and put the backup on it, because then if they do fill it with viruses, you can just redo it again. And if they are doing things like before, when they were making it, that it was very hard for me to go in my website and make it work, and every time I changed it to one colour, they'd change it back to another colour. I videoed that, I put it on YouTube. It doesn't matter. The thing is, if they know you're going to film it, then they're reluctant to do it so often, because they want to really make it look like, you know, we're deluded and it's you know, we're thinking things are happening when they're not, we're paranoid, do we? When the more you can show with evidence that no, this is actually happening, the more it sort of becomes pointless doing it to you. It's the same with phones. I've had my phone intercepted and interfered with since '96. and it doesn't really matter, you know. I've tried buying new phones, doobie-doobie-doo, all different ways to outwit. There is no way to really outwit, because their equipment can pick up as soon as you walk in the house. Somehow their equipment will pick up as soon as I have a new phone. So I don't bother keep trying to outwit them with new phones, or have one phone where I'm connected to some person and then having another, because they will soon intercept it. They'll withhold texts, they'll withhold voicemails, they'll make it that my phone don't ring when people are trying to contact me. So, or they'll make it hard to hear the person speaking. It'll be cutting up, or it sound like they're underwater, echoing and so forth. And yes, it's supposed to show you've got no privacy. I find when the phone line is going like watery, like you're underwater or echoing, is sometimes it's just good to just end the call and make another call on another line. But it may keep repeating, but it's worth trying. If it keeps repeating, it's about don't play with them, don't fight them, because they enjoy that. They want attention, in a sense. It's like they're bored little boys. So it's about, if that's the case, that's the case. Often what I find nowadays is my phone is switched off for me. There's no network, I say no network provider and so forth. And you can turn the phone off and turn it back on again, and it'll still say there's no network. What I find in that situation is to dismantle the phone works, to take out the battery, put the battery back in, switch it back on, and it will work. It may only work once. I might make a call after that, and then obviously somehow then it detects to them that I'm using the phone again, and they make it no network again. But it's to explain that. Also, I wanted to add that if you don't want to be tracked, and that is, it's no good just turning off your phone, because it will still be tracked and they can still use the microphone even when it's switched off. If you don't want to be tracked and you want to use your phone for whatever reason, then dismantle the phone. Take the battery out, you can take the chip out as well, else they will be able to track you. So, I mean, when it comes to phones, I think it's better to use them, and like, instead of using texts, I try to minimize using texts and use it to speak to the person in person, so that I know that they've spoken to me. It's not like then you're not left wondering, oh, did they get the text, didn't they get the text, and so forth. I don't use my voicemail. It says on my voicemail, don't leave a message, because I'm not going to listen, because it's just to reduce it to basics, so that then you've got more chance of keeping in communication, and there's less for them to mess with. Yes, again, it's about, you know, the same people who's doing it. It's not a low level, but it's someone who's doing it. I don't know. They're not high up. They're not high up and they're not low down. They're probably working with the dirty police on that sort of level, because they are intercepting from a level. They're showing they're intercepting from a level of, say, the network, and it can't be that they work for that network, because I've tried all different networks. So again, it's not really to concern yourself with them. They want you to concern. Sometimes you have to acknowledge them. Sometimes they'll miss things, and it's worthwhile just saying, oh, they're really frustrating me, and then they stop, because it's like they want you to know that they're there. They want to know they're having an impact, although they may not even know they're doing it, because the people that do these things are DID themselves. They're not even necessarily aware of what they're doing. Some are and some aren't. Again, it's with land, like paper mail through the postman is another way that is messed with, and it can be messed with in many ways. I mean, it can be messed with by them withholding mail from you and then bringing it when they want. I mean, I find that a lot of the time, a lot of my mail doesn't come till Friday, and so it's like to stress you. But the thing is, we're dealing with Masons, we're dealing with the occult. When they're messing with my mail, I know it's dealing with Masons, it's dealing with occult. So they'll mess with my mail for, say, my benefits and things like that. renewal dates of things, that they'll hold it back so that you miss the date. And what I find is that, you know, because they're occult, because they're Masonic, they're working with numbers, because numbers, you know, is what the world is run by. So they try to manipulate your life via them numbers. So one, they will deliver it on certain dates, but as well, they like to deliver, like, sometimes maybe on a Friday, because then they can stress you out as well. I think a lot of them meet on a Friday night, so it's sort of, it's all about energy, and they can draw your energy and your attention to what's in them letters to stress you for the weekend. What I find is, if it's sort of I don't know, correspondence that doesn't, you know, they're not, people are working Monday to Friday, so there's no need to open till Monday. So if you receive all your mail on a Friday, and it's not, you know, it's just to do with bills and benefits and so forth, leave it till Monday, because it wouldn't make no difference. And then when they do their work on a Friday night, it's wasted because you haven't even read it. And it's about being conscious. It's like, if we're not aware of something, then it doesn't have any power really, or it lessens its power. As well, what you need to look at is, if it's dirty goings on, illegal deals or whatever, you can sometimes tell, because if it's sort of Masonically written, then sometimes the sentence is not correct, it's not like grammatically correct. And what you'll find is, if you read a sentence backwards, if it's just a normal sentence, if you read a sentence backward, it will make sense. But if it's being messed with in a sort of occult manner, then when you read it backwards, it won't make the same sense as it does forward. And this is because they're playing with words, they're playing with numbers, and they're twisting things up. And so, yes, if it does seem a bit like that, then it's often good to read them backwards to see what they're really trying to say. So I think that's the mail covered. I've written the things down because else there's too many. I mean, yeah, it is to take your focus away from your aims, and to focus on their aims really, which is just to distract you and to destabilize you in a way, so that you can't be focused on what you need to do. So it's always, that's why it's always important to do things to try and stay calm and not get stressed, not get confused, because that's what they want, is confusion, to, you know, to drain your energy, to take it elsewhere. I did a blog called, I don't know what it's called, where is it, I've written it down, Energy Flows Where the Attention Goes. I was on Blogspot, there's quite a few blogs I've got under Higher Insight, and I call them 1, 2, 3, 4, and they've all got different numbers, all Higher Insight. But I explain how yes, the agenda is to draw your energy towards their negative really, and away from positive. So yes, when we're looking at what's the agenda behind it, the agenda behind it is to close you down if you're causing any trouble, to neutralise you if you cause trouble. For their agenda, to weaken your health, because really it's about to isolate you. And if they can weaken your health and get you to stay in your house, I mean, yes, a big agenda to keep you in your home, because then they know where you are, then you're not interacting with others, then you're confined. And yes, I suppose the whole agenda in the future is for everyone to stay in their home, you know, on their computers, plugged in, which is why you've got all the, you know, pubs closing down and no smoking laws and all that. It's all to keep us all in isolation and to be friends like with people in Timbuktu, but we don't know our neighbours. So yes, it's to know where you are, to destabilise you so that they can control you better, and to keep you locked into the matrix. Which comes into as well, because many of us have gone through some sort of mind control, and therefore we have a no speak programming, which is, you know, we can speak, like we can speak where we're programmed to be able to speak, but not to go and speak to people who are not part of cult to not speak outside, you know, the remit of where we're programmed to speak. So we might find that, you know, we go into an area and we don't, you know, I know for me it was difficult in the past for me to say hello to people who I don't know, because it was like, no, it's a programming against it. So it's good to just try and break that, even if it's just to say hello to people, because you find that it's like I've been in places where I've been to film like underground bases and that, and I've gone through these little areas and everyone's staring at me, and I could get paranoid and think, oh, they're all watching, and maybe they are, but what I find is if I go, oh hello, isn't it a lovely day or something, then it breaks the ice and the person no longer is acting like I'm suspicious and I'm not suspicious, and it just changes the energy, and then they feel they know you. So as well, I think we're programmed with this no speak, don't speak to anyone, don't trust anyone, so that we don't break the ice with people, so that we don't meet new people, so that people do stay in a paranoia about us and we stay in a paranoia about them, and we don't really know. So it is important for us to try and break that mold of being not speaking to people, and yes, I mean, all the interception of the phone is really so in the end you say, oh, I won't bother talking on the phone, which is the case. I don't really talk on the phone anymore because it's like, what's the point? There's no privacy and it's too much messing around. But therefore you have to find ways to socialise in the world, else you would stay in your house isolated, which is the agenda. So it's about trying as well to get out of the tight constraints they want you to stay in. So they want you to stay in and be quiet and just be on the internet or playing games or something. And they want to sort of control all the variables of you, and if you're staying in your one place, then you're much more easy to control. As well, they don't want you meeting people that are non-cult, and if you're going out, then it's like it becomes, there's more probabilities, and so they're reducing the probabilities, and then they can monitor you easier, and it makes it less work for them in the long run. And I think a lot, you know, not everyone who's gang stalked and targeted nowadays may be cult, may be mind controlled, maybe a trouble, maybe it is just they're practicing on people of all different ranges to see how do they cope, how do they respond, so they can block them ways, so they can learn, so they can be ahead for the future. So, but as well, you know, it's about knowing that there's a, you know, they do have the ELF, they, you know, and again, I found with that of going out, it's like a few months back, I was having vibrations in my body, and then I decided, you know, to study it and looked at the biomagnetic stuff and realised, no, if I go out onto the earth, then then their frequencies have got more of a struggle because the earth is a bit bigger than their frequencies. So if I used to go to the river, and that was helping, but it was like, no, then there was a strong effort to keep me back in my house, to not be going out and you know, distracting what they're doing. Right, so I mean, yes, as you know, or you don't know, I don't know, because this is my second video for gang stalking that I've made, is yes, and I do follow Christianity as well, because it, yes, is what I believe. And so when I looked at how, because they're a cult, because they're Satanists, ultimately trying to intercept and interfere with my life and other people's lives, and they're using the satanic means, then it's about, right, well, let me understand what the Bible's saying about what they're doing, because it's like, yes, Satan loves to create all this confusion and conflict. So I looked in the Bible. I'm not an expert on it or nothing, but I looked to see what there was on it, and there wasn't. So, but what I found was Proverbs, which is quite an interesting book, because it's all about wisdom and really just trying to grasp understanding of life. And I did find, though, interesting enough, that in Proverbs there was a piece regarding gangstalking, so I just wanted to give you that. So it says Proverbs 6, chapter 6, verse 12. It says, "A scoundrel and villain who goes about with a corrupt mouth, who winks with his eyes and signals with his feet and motions with his fingers, who plots evil with deceit in his heart, he always stirs up dissension. Therefore disaster will overtake him, and in an instant he will suddenly be destroyed without remedy." So there you see, it's already in the Bible, so it's nothing new. All this gang stalking really is what I'm trying to show you there. It's written then, and that's sort of quite clear to me, with the motioning with the feet and the hands and the eyes, winking with his eyes. But it's still going to come under it. So it's like, it's about, no, again, it is about staying calm, because it's bigger than us. I mean, whether you're Christian or not, it doesn't really matter. The physical realm is nothing compared to what's going on in the spiritual realm. I mean, I don't know how to deal with demons and that if I don't look at it from that perspective, because yes, demons are very much involved in the matter. When it comes to communication again, and we're looking at, you know, phones and the internet, it's all electronic, and what could be done with viruses via electronic, what could be done by man with the electronics of interception and interference, can also be done by demons. And it's like they copy each other. So in a sense it can be demons, and so some people will say, oh, it's all demons, and some people will say, no, it's all man. But really it can be both, and they'll utilise both. So both are involved. That sometimes the computer can be going wrong because there's demons in the computer. Sometimes it can be just because there's a virus in the computer. They imitate each other, and so they are, and I don't know how to deal with them other than, yes, I deal with it the way I deal with it. But yeah, back to Proverbs again in 14:30 I've got here, and it says, "A heart at peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones." Which again is about staying peaceful, because all this interference is not really, like, a lot of time it's like, well, what's the point? I looked at the patterns and so forth, but it's like, that's got nothing to do with nothing really. And what it's to do with is to frustrate you, to make your heart disturbed, because their hearts are disturbed. And so yes, they are full of envy because, you know, it's a nice sunny day and I'm not really that stressed, and they'd like me to be stressed because they need me to be stressed, because else I'll continue making videos and so forth exposing what they're up to. So if I'm stressed, then I'm more likely to get ill or not think calmly and may miss bits in the video. Again in Proverbs 15:1, "A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." Because it's like they'll come and say things like that when I started this video, and it's Buzz at the door, and it's probably Jehovah's Witness. Now I could get all wound up, switch off my video, tell them about themselves, but that's just going to bring more energy, more negative energy to me. So it's like, no, I just ignore them. But if I did answer, I'd just say no thank you, because yes, you know, in the past I may have given them a piece of my mouth, but it's not, it just makes more anger, like it says, harsh word stirs up anger. 17:27 of Proverbs, it says, "A man of knowledge uses words with restraint, and a man of understanding is even-tempered." But just stay calm. Even a fool is thought wise if he keeps silent, and is discerning if he holds his tongue. So even a fool, yes, if you just shut your mouth and don't say nothing, you're better off than saying things to annoy, because then you're just creating the energy again. And this is all back to the occult and the demonic, because it's like the demonic can't really stay around if the energy's not right. If it's all nice and peaceful and loving and godly, then they can't hang around. So they do things to annoy you, to try and get the energy stirred up, so that then, yes, something can grow out of it. But no. So yes, it is wise to to pray, to, even though it may sound crazy, to pray over your computer, to break all curses over your computer, all curses over you. The more you eliminate all these things, I mean, at the end of the day, whether you believe in the demons or not, and whether you believe in Jesus or not, it doesn't matter. The demons still are scared of Jesus. They're still going to exist whether you believe in them or not. So I see it as, well, you know, what harm does it do in calling on Jesus to break the curses, to, you know, that's the power that we've got through him, to break curses, to cover ourselves in his blood. That doesn't mean covered in blood and all horrible, but it's about, you know, we have to do what we use what we've got. So to break curses, break bonds with, wash away all the programming with his blood or with the living waters, but get rid of the programming, go against the programming, go outside and you know, walk on the earth, see what happens, say hello to someone. You don't have to do no more, but it's about seeing what happens inside you, what happens inside. How does life change when you start talking to people? How does the phone mess with so forth change? This all matters. So yes, I've nearly finished. I hope I've covered everything. Hope I've stayed calm. But I just wanted to do a few more little bits of the scripture because they're quite useful. I found 1 Peter 5:8, it's another book. It says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour." And it's about, yes, be sober and be vigilant. You know, it doesn't. It'd be good to have no substances in your body, but at least don't be. Doesn't mean, you know, if you have a drink, don't get pissed out of your head. Just be mindful that things are going on, so that you can be watching what's going on, so you're more aware. Else, you know, again, you're messing with the demonics, and they're looking for people to mess with. 2 Thessalonians 2:9. The coming of the lawless one is according to the workings of Satan, with all power, signs and lying wonders. And this is talking about what's coming. And we know it's coming, whether, you know, you believe in the Bible or not. The New World Order is about imitating a fake rapture. So that's what they're planning. When all the finances collapse and it all turns nasty, and they're twisting everything up, this is what they're talking about, is all the powers and signs and the lying wonders. But in Proverbs again, 19:21, it says, "Many are the plans of the man's heart, in a man's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails." So it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, the Lord will win them over. But we need to stay calm and, you know, keep our mouth calm, keep ourselves calm. As I say, you know, accept that, yes, these things do happen on a computer. We're not going nuts. It happens to me, and it happens to many. I just want to finish off by saying as well, because I do actually, you know, maybe what does get on their nerves, because, you know, the world is run with drugs industries and in exchange for arms, in exchange for child trafficking and so forth. And I suppose I maybe put a spanner in the work, because I specialised with working with crack cocaine users, and I was very successful. And then I set up services separate from the government, where I didn't give out information and didn't want their money and didn't want their volunteers. And so that's when they did start intercepting and messing with me. And so therefore I ended up with a load of knowledge on how to work with crack users, which I couldn't really share because they destroyed everything I got, which I did do in a blog. I've written a blog on that. That explains what they do to people like me. But I just wanted to say that you know, you, the readers, may have nothing to do with crack cocaine, but you may know people that are on crack cocaine. So I wrote a book, Stop Using Crack Cocaine and Reclaim Your Life. So I'm just saying I've got that for sale. It's very cheap, about £5 on Amazon, and that's written for the user. I didn't write it for the academics, because I wrote it for the user. Cheap, simple, easy to read, that anyone can stop using crack. There's no reason to continue using it. So if you know anyone who is using it, got problems with it, then that's the book to get, because I wrote it, so it's nice and simple. I did write for the professionals on how to work with men, and I did write for the professionals how to work on women. Women and crack, responding to need, and men and crack, uncovered. Again, the Stop Using Crack is on a blog. It gives, I think, the first 5 chapters free, all on Blogspot under Higher Insight. Most of my stuff is Higher Insight. And then I've got a website, higherinsight.webs.com, but I also got blogspots at Higher Insight 1, 2, 3, 4. There also is a Higher Insight web blogspot. I did surveillance, gangstalking, call it what you will. This is partly how it's done. That's quite popular blog that I've written. I'll put the links below, but I'm just telling you now. And also, yeah, you can see on one of the one of the hot blog spots, I get more muddled up, I've done on one on my cerebral palsy, self-diagnosis assessment and such, in a blog form. And that is another way of saying, you know, keeping a record of everything and not having to keep all the paperwork in your house in your tiny space. So I hope that has been helpful, and I don't really have much more that I can share on communication, but I hope it's been of help. Okay then, until I make my next video, may God bless. Bye bye.